We have a second property owner in the vicinity that is interested in acquiring the land. And Councilor O'Neill, would you like to comment on that? I know you had been in touch with some. Would you like to comment on that, or if you don't, that's not necessary if you don't want to. But
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did get a call from Jason DeRosa. We just played phone tag, and he was mentioning that he'd fill out the application to potentially try to acquire either a piece or a portion of the property in question. But we didn't get a chance to actually speak.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. So the process that we have contemplates interest by multiple property owners, so that we can address that when the time comes. I guess the most pressing matter that we have is the input that we have from the assessor's office and the treasurer's office, which I think I'm going to ask the clerk if he could comment on that, since he reviewed that. I think what we're going to find here is that there may be some question as to whether or not the foreclosure information was properly filed with the Registry of Deeds, which may draw into question whether the city has clear title on this property, which obviously, if that's not the case, we're really not in position to sell it at this moment in time. So do you have anything to add substantively to that?
I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, the documents before you show a history of how the city acquired the land. It was through basically a non-payment of taxes. There is a document from the treasurers that it's dated May 15th of 2003, a notice of foreclosure. And it states on top the city acquired a final decree of foreclosure on April 1st, 2003 for the property in question. The only thing that we can find is the final recording at the Registry of Deeds, because on a final decree, I guess according to the assessors, it has to be recorded at the registry. In doing a search, we can't find that recording. I don't know if it was ever recorded. So, I don't know if the city has clear title at this point until either there is a recording or I don't know. That would be a legal department question at this point if we have a clear title. So if we don't have clear title, or if there's a question, I think we need to have that answer before selling the property.
Other members of the committee, based on what you've heard, Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Tim, back to you, please. If it's not recorded, we don't have proof of it being recorded.
There's no proof of the recording,
right.
So.
I don't know enough about the Registry of Deeds, but
yeah.
There has to be a recording.
According to what I've been told, yes, there has to be a recording of the final decree of foreclosure.
Of having taken the property by non-payment of taxes.
Correct.
So, Mr. Chairman, it sounds to me like we don't have authority to move forward on it.
I think we need to clarify that.
Until we get that
I think the
clarified,
recommendation is that be referred to the city solicitor
Correct.
for clarification.
That's where I was going to
if you'd
go.
like to make that motion.
I would like to make that motion.
So motion from Councilor Gould is to refer this matter to the city solicitor, specifically as it relates to clarifying the city's ownership position of the property before we take further action on a recommendation.
So moved.
Councilors, you heard on the motion. Councilor Rosignol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for my own clarification, because there's a couple of discrepancies in the documents that we've received as late communication, we are only talking about lot 004-051A, correct? Not 51.
No, 51A is the parcel that's owned by the city of Peabody.
Okay. Just because, for clarification purposes, the email we received from Roy Simos does not have a lot number. The email, the document we received from Kurt Bellavance from his office did not have the A in it. So just for uniformity, I think, I just wanted to make sure that we're only talking about 051A.
Yeah.
Just for clarification.
Yeah, 51 is owned by Mr. Casciola. That's his property.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to clean up
Right.
what we have in front of us. Thank you.
Right, so point of information, the communication from Mr. Bellavance makes specific reference to property ID 004-051, and that is the correct lot. Okay, well, I think that you've raised an excellent point, Councilor Rossignol. So I think let's vote on Councilor Gould's motion, and I think maybe a follow-on motion with respect to communication out to the departments and PMLP again, making sure that they have commenting on the proper lot would be appropriate. So we have a roll call on Councilor Gould's motion.
Councilors Melville,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Gravel,
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
And on the point raised by Councilor Rossignol, Councilor Melville, you're on the committee. A motion to communicate, that the clerk communicate back out to the departments and to PMLP to be certain that they are commenting on the correct lot number.
So moved, Chairman.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. And I think when we receive that information back, we'll be in better position to act on these now 2 applications and make a decision on whether or not to make a recommendation to sell, and we'll take it from there. So unless I hear anything else, we'll move on to the second item on the agenda, which is the clerk informed me that both applicants are here tonight for the property. So does anybody on the committee want to hear from the applicants? Is that going to have any bearing on your? Not necessary. So we're not going to allow any comment at this time because the committee is not seeing that as beneficial at this point. Item B on the agenda is easement request from Peabody Living LLC, 234 Bartholomew Street. And present here representing this matter is Attorney Kelty. Attorney Kelty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody, Massachusetts, and I am here to discuss the issue of granting my clients granting an easement to the city of Peabody for an encumbrance in which Bartholomew Street, as currently laid out, does encroach on property formerly of Polino, now of Peabody Living LLC, by about 2 to 3 feet. I have I know that you folks, I think, all have electronic versions of the plan that are kind of small, probably a little difficult to read. So if we wanted to take a moment, I could put a much larger version of the plan on the table in the center, if that was helpful to the board, to the committee, subcommittee, and we could see exactly what I'm speaking about.
Take a 1-minute recess to evaluate the plan. Attorney Kelty.
Thank you. The reason this has become an issue is that the Polinos property at 234 Bartholomew is registered land. Commonwealth of Massachusetts recognizes registered land and recorded land. Most of us own properties that are recorded land. Registered land is more perfect, more perfected form of title. In this particular area, much of the land that was now formerly owned by the Polino family is registered because I know that back in the 50s, 60s, and there was a question of title to that end of Bartholomew Street. There was a very long time that Bartholomew Street ended, kind of dead end, before you got to the Polino property, shortly after the pond. There was a time that I think that Attorney Harry Ankleys had subdivided some of the Polino property, and at that time there was an agreement to extend Bartholomew Street. I had represented a fellow by the name of David McGinn, and we got a subdivision called Valley Estates, which now is Valley Circle. Mike Diorsi lives on it. So if I'm coming up Bartholomew, I make a left. It's kind of a horseshoe that comes around, joins again in Bartholomew. That was the development, and I think that part of his approval required that he rebuild Bartholomew, which was in pretty tough condition, from where the gate used to be. I'm showing my age now. There used to be an actual gate up there, and from the gate all the way to the joinder with Linfield Street was privately owned. When they subdivided the property out at the entrance, it was agreed that there would become a roadway. And when David McGinn's subdivision, which I got approved, was bought by David Gass, I think that that's how it happened, that it's just not in the exact spot that it should be. When you bring a plan to the land court for approval, now that there's this encumbrance on the encroachment on the land, they ask that it be resolved, either remove the roadway or grant an easement. So we're offering to grant an easement to the city of Peabody to allow the roadway to remain there without interference, and so it is our offer to the city of Peabody as a means of resolving an issue that is with the land court.
Thank you, Attorney Kelty. Members of the committee. Councilor Turco, I think you have some background on this.
Thank you. Yes, very briefly, and I apologize, I have a little bit of a cold, but my initial thought when I first saw this was that by granting the easement, we may actually be helping Attorney Kelty's client build additional housing, which I really was not in favor of. But through discussion with the city solicitor and the director of DPW, this is actually beneficial to the city of Peabody to get this straightened out. And we are encroaching on the Paulino land, a portion of Bartholomew Street that is accurate. And the exact motion we make tonight, if we approve this, would just be to have the mayor enter into an agreement to accept this easement. So I would be in favor of making that motion through Councilor Gould to accept this easement on behalf of the city of Peabody and allow the mayor to enter into it. In no way does it allow Mr. Kelty to build any additional homes other than what he was already able to build, which Attorney Kelty was 5 homes that you could build in that area, 4 plus the existing home of Mr. Paulino, and that in no way changes once this easement is granted to the city. So
That's correct.
thank you very much.
Councilor Gould.
I have a motion if you're ready for that, Mr. Chairman.
I am.
All right, motion for the city to accept the grant of an easement and to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to complete this transaction. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Roll call.
Councilors Melville,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gould, Gravel, McGinn.
Yes,
Motion carries 5-0.
I'll accept the motion to adjourn. We
Thank
are
you,
adjourned.
councilors.